Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive Podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the forecast for each life path number for the month of September 2025. Before we get into the forecast, this, of course, is a general reading. If you would like your own personal numerology reading, where we'll take a deep dive into your own personal numbers, please book some time with me. My information's in the description box below, and I would love to work with you. All right, let's go ahead and see what this month has in store. Life path number 9, you are going to be working with a vibration of the 27-9, so ultimately your own energy, but also the influencing energy of the 27. So this month, this cycle could really be about coming back to yourself, right? Anytime we have that 7 energy, it's about greater self-discovery. It brings in opportunities for us to discover things about ourselves that we couldn't see before, right? Maybe we had the blinders on. Maybe we just weren't tuned into whatever it was. Maybe we just weren't ready to see that side of ourselves. So when we move through a 27-9 cycle, this is an opportunity to come back to ourselves and to really take the time to do some self-reflection, to, ask ourselves the bigger questions and to be open to the answers that come through. You could also see some changes with your relationship because of this greater self-reflection or this greater self-discovery, right? Maybe you figure things out about yourself that you've been struggling with, or that, maybe you've been showing up to relationships in a way that have been sacrificial, where you're like overgiving or over-sacrificing yourself in a way, which would not be uncommon for 9s. And so this is a way for you to recognize where, maybe you're showing up to connections in an unhealthy way, or maybe you're showing up to those connections like in a controlling way, right? Where you're trying to control the environment for whatever your intention may be for that. But this is an opportunity to check in with yourself on a deeper level and to see where it is that either how you show up to relationships or how you allow relationships to show up to you might be a little bit unhealthy and might need some reworking. It can also show you those connections that are very healthy and where you want to continue to build, upon that relationship. So it's not only like this opportunity for that greater self-reflection and coming back to you and asking yourself those bigger questions, but it's also like this opportunity to review, again, like how you connect with others, how you relate to another person, how you view other people, how you sort of integrate into society. What does that look like? And how do you show up? What version of you do people get? And is it a true and authentic version? Are there some, do you need to break free from some restrictions that you may have put on yourself? Beautiful, beautiful cycle for coming back to the truth of who you are, right? And sometimes, we just kind of uncover different layers of ourselves throughout different cycles of our life that we weren't ready to see before, but now we're ready to see. And now once we have that greater understanding about ourselves, then our actions can reflect that. And that might have some kind of greater influence on your relationships, right? Or, you might see some relationships fall away at this time. You could see, just because, again, it just doesn't fit into your own evolutionary path, right? And who you are now. Maybe it worked before, but it's just not working now. And there's nothing negative about that. It's just people grow, and sometimes we grow in different directions. So this cycle can give you an opportunity just to see where some change is needed, potentially where some endings are needed. 9 energy is all about things being transient. Nothing stays forever. And, the journey of the 9 is sort of that life in motion, where, again, you are living the explanation of life, if that makes sense, right? So much of your journey is about things coming in and then things going away, and things coming in and things going away, and finding ways to understand that going away, that closing out, that ending, no matter how difficult that ending may have been, it's not punitive. It's simply, allowing you to experience the truth of life, which is all things are transient. So again, this is an opportunity to reflect upon, what's working in your life, what's not working, what relationships are working, what relationships need some work, what relationships have served their purpose but are no longer, are at this point standing in the way of your own evolution or the evolution of that other person. And so you could see some very significant shifts this month. And it's kind of that energy of like, once we have the awareness, we can't go back to not knowing, right? We can't go back to not having that awareness. And so then typically at some point, we start to take action that supports that awareness, right? So we start to see major shifts in our life. So for you nines, September could be a very pivotal time in your life where significant changes are happening, but it's creating the space for you to accept and be open to the next chapter, right? What the next chapter has to bring. Because remember, so much of your life, in everyone's life, but it's such a big part of the life path 9. Things are so transient. Things are so cyclical. And this is one of those times where you could see some things, they've reached their expiration date, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But it's time to clean out the fridge, right? And bring in the new produce, let's put it that way. So just be aware of that, right? There's an opportunity this month to just gain a very deep spiritual understanding of yourself and what your needs are in this moment, because just like everything else is transient, your personal needs, your goals, your desires, that's going to continue to evolve as you evolve. And so again, see this month as sort of that checkpoint energy that's giving you an opportunity to ask yourself, does this still fit or does it not? And if it doesn't, get rid of it. And maybe not into that extreme, but you know what I mean? It can be done in love and kindness. But find ways to start moving in a different direction from those things that are no longer serving you or that are standing in the way of you moving forward in a healthy way. So yeah, this is an opportunity to do that work if you so choose to. There's always that opportunity to cling to something. So, this month, this cycle might show you what needs to be released and you might refuse, you might cling to it. I can pretty much guarantee, especially as a life path 9, first you'll get the invitation and then you'll get the intervention from the universe, right? And so whatever it is that the universe is showing you needs to be released, whether it's a belief system, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career that's sucking your energy from you, whatever it is, once you have the awareness that shift needs to occur, that's the invitation. The awareness is the invitation. You can either do something with that invitation to better your environment and your experience, or you can cling to what has expired. But at some point, the intervention will come in and it will be removed. So it's just how you want to manage it. I will say it's much more comfortable to take the invitation than it's going to be through the invitation or through the intervention. So yeah. And of course, move through any emotions that might come up for you through that release. You don't want to suppress that, but just don't fight it. Don't try to control the environment or the situation too much. Let go what needs to let go, because I can promise you it's opening you up for something bigger and better, and nothing against whatever it is that you're releasing. It's not that there's anything wrong with that person or that thing. It's just, it's no longer in alignment for you, or it served its purpose. And now you're opening up to something that is much more aligned for you. So big energy there. Now, this is also a time where you could see things growing and blossoming and bearing fruit. You've put in the effort. This is something where you could see that this feels like a very promising period where relationships start to bloom and grow, or you could take a relationship to the next level or gain a deeper understanding about yourself within that relationship, and your relationship kind of blossoms from there. If you've been starting a new business or launching something, you could see, that really take off at this time. Any kind of creative enterprise very much supported at this time, especially if it's building upon what's working, or again, something new that's coming in for you that you're entertaining, right? You're starting to plan and process how you'll say yes to it, and you'll, start moving in that direction. This is a time to enlist the aid of others, right? Get that support, collaborate, work with others. This could definitely be a very fortunate period for many, many people, many nines, right? Where you could see this is the beginning of your success or your fortune, or like a beautiful relationship that you just never expected. That's the power of the 27-9. But it has to be aligned with, again, who you are in this moment and your desires and all those things. And you can only get to that point by releasing what's no longer working. So it's twofold here. But again, beautiful energy for prosperity and things really taking off. So if you're launching something this month, you could likely see great success from that. Maybe not initially, it might take a few months or a few years, but if you're initiating it this month, if you're launching it, if you're getting out into the world, can bring great success and can really push you towards, that reaching your biggest dreams, your goals. So beautiful energy here. It's not all about like loss and release and all those things. It can be incredibly rewarding, but there is that need for the release. Now, I pulled an animal wisdom message for you all, and you got spider energy. And, this is that energy of you weave your web. And if your web is attracting the nutrients, then it's working, then it's serving you. It doesn't need to be dismantled and rebuilt. But if it's not working, if it's not bringing in the nutrients, then it's not working and it needs to be released, right? And then you need to either move locations or maybe build that web differently or build upon that web differently to get different results. But you are the weaver of the web. And if the web is not working, you have the power to change it. And that's really what this 27-9 energy is saying. And you will get success from making the changes, from making the modifications that are most aligned with what's needed with the situation. So just remember your power, to be able to be the web weaver is a lot of power. And if you've weaved a web that's not working, then leave it or release it or dismantle it and try again. And you will get to that point of success. Beautiful energy here, nines. So hope it's a great month. Take care. Bye for now.